Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Rowpaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
Welcome to the Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show from Bronco Nation News as we get you set for the latest news, insight, and analysis as game time approaches. The BNN pregame show is presented by Lithia Ford of Boise. Check out lithiafordboise.com to view the full inventory of vehicles or check them out at 8853 West Fairview in Boise. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now, let's head out and join BJ Rains for the Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show from Bronco Nation News.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? A special early morning game day edition of the Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show. Also a special edition because we got our man Mike Sanford nice enough to, on a big game day for him. No, we're not talking Boise State. You got a doubleheader for softball today, right, Mike?
We do the Savages. That's our team name. Of course, it came from me. My daughter wanted to be the Swifties, but we went with the Savages because that's how we play the game of softball.
There you go.
Second place, we're playing two other teams that are in the same standing. We're tied for second out of 10. It's a big weekend. But more importantly, reason that we're on this show is to talk a huge game day down in Memphis. Right outside of Beale Street. How'd that go for you last night, BJ?
It's going all right, man. It was a good time. It was fun, man. Was down here for the Kansas-Arkansas Liberty Bowl back in December, and then last night though saw some friends and got a chance to enjoy a few libations and check out Beale Street. And it was a good time. It was a good time. So we're not going on a full night of sleep, but we're ready to rock and roll here. And I do challenge that though. You said that the most important thing is that softball game, man. Never forget that. That's the biggest game today. So we're pumped for you and appreciate you for jumping on before that for a morning show here. There's some internet issues apparently and not great space over at the Liberty Bowl Stadium to do our typical pregame show. For folks who are watching, wondering why we're on at 8 a.m. in Boise and the game's not till 2. But so we're going to go ahead and do it this morning in part because it worked out with Mike's schedule and just worked out to do it now, and then it'll have 6 hours to circulate on social media. Maybe we'll get a little increased viewership before kickoff. We'll still have some I'll still tweet out some videos of warm-ups and things like that. We just won't be able to have a live broadcast, so we'll have you covered from that standpoint. Mike, I was watching Game Day this morning. What is it like for, I guess, you, but also, I guess, when you were coaching? I mean, I can see the LSU team buses, by the way, right out my window. LSU is playing Ole Miss today, and I guess, what is it? I think they said it was 60 miles down to Oxford, and there's not a lot of good places to stay. So the LSU team is actually staying at the Peabody here, and I saw them. So what is it like when you wake up, you get ready for that team breakfast, it's game day? I guess the game time has something to do with that if you're not playing until 8 o'clock or if you're playing at, noon. But just in general, for a coach, for a player, when you're on the road, you're in that team hotel, wherever you're at, you wake up on game day. What's that feeling like?
Well, I love game day. I mean, even today, coaching softball and just prepping for Boise State today, watching them obviously this later on today in a big game. But I just love the energy that it brings to me, and I'm even feeling it today, which is ironic. As I sit in my guest house over here and broadcasting live from Colorado with one of my good friends out in Memphis. So, for me, at the team hotel, I'd always wake up sometimes like 4:35 in the morning, just excited. And I always try to get some type of physical activity in, whether I take a 3-4 mile walk, get a little bit of coffee in me. And I always love just trickling down to the breakfast spot before the team did, and going to see my good buddy, the director of football operation. He was always there, nervous and excited. And I was a big fan of in the team meal having college game day on if it was that early, or the early kickoff games, just so players could just kind of see that there's fun in this game. It's not all just nerves and quietness and this darkness that waits. I wanted to bring incredible energy to those players so that they could wake up and have kind of that right mindset. The other thing I like to do is I'd take the team for a walk itself, and we'd walk, about a quarter mile, nothing too much, just to kind of get some motion in their body, get their circadian rhythms set with, the sun rising. And I love that. I did that at Notre Dame with the quarterback group. And even on game day mornings, we took some pretty adventurous walks with the Notre Dame quarterback group. We even walked inside of when we were playing Boston College at Fenway. The morning we woke up in downtown Boston, we took a walk, and I always planned it, a couple days before, see what a cool sight was. But we walked right to the Bull and Finch pub, otherwise known as the original Cheers bar, and walked right in. Just Deshaun Kaiser and myself, and we're just saying hello to people. Obviously, we didn't indulge in any type.
Walking into the pub on game day there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing more on brand than Irish Catholic football. Just having that kind of presence there in an Irish Catholic type of pub. So I love game days, and I just like just to bring the energy. Even today, bring some energy, even if you had a little bit of a bender. There's nothing better, man. You think about all the hours you guys put in all week. I mean, even for fans too, man. Just a fan, you wait all week, and you wake up on that game day knowing you get to have 3 hours or whatever it is to cheer your team on. So, it's a fun day. Love Saturdays, and super excited for the game today. Boise State at Memphis. It's at 3 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Mountain Time, and it'll be on ESPN2. And we're excited to break it down here with Mike. Jordan Kay is going to join us. We're also going to have Stormy Buonantony, the sideline reporter for ESPN2, used to work at the Mountain West Network. She's going to join us as well to break this game down. But Stormy,
she's
a big guest, man.
Yeah, we're looking forward to catching up with her. She used to work at the Mountain West Network, and now she's doing the sidelines. She works at does some stuff with VSiN out there that you're now part of, doing the hits out there for VSiN. So what happens? The game's at 2 o'clock today for Boise State. Again, this is Lithia Florida Boise pregame show. Appreciate all of our great sponsors. We'll tell you more about them here moving forward. But the game is at 3 o'clock Central. So what all can you do for a 3 o'clock game when you're in that team hotel?
Well, you always subtract from when the game time is. So 2.5 hours is arrival. So you always, I'd say, even going out to Liberty Bowl Stadium. How far is that from where you're?
Not terribly, probably 15 minutes, probably.
We always usually about 15 extra minutes in case of traffic and, the late stragglers or somebody getting to the bus. Usually the late stragglers aren't players. They're administrators. The suits are always late. You got to wait for them sometimes.
Players' wives or something?
No, more the senior associate athletic directors and, a lot of those guys that are kind of at times just kind of along for the ride, you're like, as a head coach, you're looking around, you're like, hey man, we waiting for somebody who has zero impact on the actual outcome of the game. They'll probably leave about 3 hours before the game, so noon. So you build your schedule back from there. You like to get 2 meals in you for a 3 o'clock kick. So I'm guessing that either it's a continental breakfast from 7 to 8:30, free flowing arrival time for players and coaches, or it's a hard start. Some places I've been, I'd say probably an 8 a.m. hard start. Typically a walkthrough. I like to do walkthroughs outside. That's what we did when I was coaching at Boise State. I know Andy probably does the exact same thing. Get that walkthrough in the morning, and then that second meal is usually preceded by an offense, defense, and special teams meeting, and then a quick team meeting. And the head coach really does give his insights into what today's going to look like. So game days are fantastic.
Boise State at Memphis. Again, this is Lithia Ford, a Boise pregame show. Appreciate Lithia Ford. Make sure you check them out if you're looking for a new vehicle, new or used. If you're looking to sell your vehicle, Lithia Ford will they'll purchase it from you as well, right there on the spot. So check them out at Lithia Ford of Boise. So Mike, this matchup, Boise State 2-2. You're in conference, then you go back out of conference. They get the win over San Diego State. They're all talking about being 1-0 in conference and getting that rolling, and then now they go right back into non-conference play. Does that matter at all? I mean, when you start conference play, go back into non-conference, and what do you make this first time these teams have ever played? You have played in this stadium. You were on this team. We can get to that in a second. Andy's famous play, but just the fact this is a rare matchup, never happened before. Two of the kind of premier group of 5 programs right now. But I would say somewhat of a marquee non-conference game. What do you make of the matchup?
Well, first off, it's by far the biggest matchup in Mountain West Conference slate, if you will, non-conference or conference for that matter. So this is a big game for the Mountain West Conference in terms of just vying for that respect across, the Power 5, the group of 5 type of conferences. So, to be honest, on paper, as you really look at this matchup, and I did so this morning, when you look at Memphis's offense, in their national rankings juxtaposed against the Boise State's defense's national rankings, the matchup's not very good, BJ. You're looking at an offense that's averaging 436.8 yards per play in Memphis versus a defense that's 121st in the country, giving up 430 yards per game, not per play. I think that you have to factor in the hottest team in college football, University of Washington's, I think by far the best team right now in college football, is going to factor into those statistics. UCF being a very good football team as well, offensively, dynamic numbers. So two of your 4 games have been against really high-powered offenses. And then, the last week, seeing San Diego State put up big numbers through the air. This has got to be a big game for the Boise State defense. This is a pride game. This is a game where, they have the athletes, they have the experience. There's not, the youth that maybe you're talking about in game 1 and game 2, new starters. Now those players have 4 games under their belt. This is a different dynamic. So this defense has to deliver today. And if not, then we know that this offense for Boise State, it has to be the come together moment where you see the pass game and the run game really complement one another. And Taylon Green's going to be a huge part of that, and you're in that position now. You're 4 games in. You're not really thinking about this as a 12, 13 game season ahead of us. So you got to let it eat right now and utilize Taylon's skill sets, both in the run game as a runner, and then get him in rhythm early as a passer.
Coach S is on point with the hat and hoodie. We got yes, Mike has good drip.
And even my little protein shake is in Bronco orange right here.
There you go. There you go. They're loving the hat as well. It's one of the NIL hats, right?
It is. This is the Taylon Green NIL hat.
Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. I said you were wearing the Taylon Green one, but it was actually I believe it was the Ashton Genty one. I think.
So the Ashton Genty one's the black one, right? With
the logo. Yep.
Yeah, so I wore that yesterday on Altitude Sports Radio with former Pro Bowler for the Broncos and Washington Redskins, Tyler Columbus. And he and I had some really good banter back and forth for a 3-hour set yesterday on Altitude. And let's just say Boise State came up on the air in the Denver metro area about 6-7 times. So I beat Tyler Columbus one-on-one in a Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And, of course, after every single question I got right and he got wrong, I let him know the score. That was Boise State 1, CU 0. And I took the crown, man. I was claiming that Boise State education. We may have been a junior college half a century ago, may have been a vocational tech school, but by God, we stood up pretty good against the Pac-12 elites in Colorado academically.
Sam says this game will tell us a lot. I mean, in terms of yes, they figured out the running game with Ashton Genty, but I still think there's some work offensively that needs to be done in terms of the downfield passing attack, spreading the ball around a little more, getting some more receivers involved, getting Taylon a little more involved, both with his legs and his arm, I think. But what's more important today? You think the offense and the passing game figuring it out, or the defense? Some of the tackling issues we saw in the San Diego State game, the third down struggles the defense had. Are you thinking this is more of a lower scoring game where the defense is going to have to really step it up, or more of a higher scoring game?
I think it'll be somewhere in between. I do. I think that the defense is going to deliver a better performance today. Seth Hennigan, the quarterback from Memphis, actually a kid that I know. It's funny, the name sounded really familiar earlier in the week, and I look back and as a guy that recruited the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, his dad, Dave Hennigan's been a longtime head coach. He grew up actually in Huntington Beach, California, right next to me in Seal Beach, California. And every time I would go into a school at Denton Ryan, we'd reminisce about the old days living down in Orange County and how different our lives are in respective places, wherever the heck I was coaching at the time. And certainly him in the Dallas-Fort Worth football world. So, Seth's a coach's kid. He's really bright. I don't think he's a dynamic athlete. I don't think that he is a plus arm talent player, but man, he's savvy. He knows how to find completions. He knows how to move the sticks. This is probably going to be, I'd say, the third best quarterback that Boise State's seen this year. I'd say up there with the most efficient, though. I don't think the downfield passing is going to be a huge piece of what Memphis does today in terms of the just consistency of taking shots down the field. They really want to keep their quarterback on schedule. And I think Hennigan is that guy that can find those easy completions and continue to move the sticks. But overall, I think that, Boise State's got to put it together in really all three phases of the game to win this football game. I believe they're going to do that. I really do. And I think it's going to be a lot of the lessons learned through first 4 weeks of the season. Even last week, kind of an uneven performance against San Diego State to survive and advance, if you will, in the conference. I think that this is an opportunity for them to learn from those mistakes, starting slowly, really giving up a whole bunch of second half yardage and put a full 4-quarter performance together.
Some of the defensive issues we saw, the third down struggles, but I guess even more particular, the tackling. Like when you're in game 4 and suddenly you just can't tackle, like what did you see from that San Diego State game from the Boise State defense? And also, I think they're 84th in the country in third down conversions right now defensively. I know it's an obvious answer, but how much better would the defense look and some of these stats be if they just get off the field a little easier on third down?
I think it make a humongous difference. And really a lot of the third down conversions have come by way of the drop back pass by the offense that they're seeing, and then the scramble. And just being disciplined, whether it's a spy player that's assigned to the quarterback, whether it's, containing the rusher with your edges. I think just having rush lane integrity and somebody responsible for the quarterback, we got to get off the field. And I think a big part of that, when you watch Jalen Maiden, what he did, and obviously even, John Reese Plumlee, that was a lot of his game was just moving the sticks on 3rd and 5+, on, design quarterback passes that they took off for runs and converted the sticks.
Yeah, it was crazy. Some of the third and one drive, they had like 3 3rd and 9+ yards to go and converted all 3 of them on the same drive. So maybe that was a one-time thing, but as I said, it's 84th in the country right now defensively on third down. So Boise State certainly has to do that better. The Liberty Bowl, famous stadium, obviously. When you go to a stadium for the first time as a player, and all these kids at some point go on their first road trip or go to their first stadium in the mountain. You only go, I guess, 2 times most of the time with the alternating years to a lot of these stadiums. But when you go to a stadium for the first time, you're a player, coach, whatever. Are you looking where the play clock is? What all goes on when you guys roll up at the stadium for the first time?
Yeah. So, it depends on which, some coaches that come from the NFL background, like David Shaw, it's not like they do a team gathering at midfield right when they arrive, in their suits or in their travel suits, or in the case of USC, if you saw some of their media, there's players that travel in pajamas. So that's a little interesting, but a little different than what I grew up in football, but neither here nor there. But one thing, at Boise State, we always did is we would take the field together. Coach Harsh at the time would give us, some final words, pretty brief, breakdown. And then I'd always grab the group of quarterbacks and do exactly what you just said, show them where the shot clocks are, the play clock, just so they understand where their eyes need to be fixated as they get the play call, because the quarterback's going from seeing the signal or reading the wristband or breaking the huddle to immediately scanning the defense, getting their keys, whether it be where the nickels align relative to the safety and the inside backer, as we talked about a couple weeks on ball talk a couple weeks ago about the coverage triangle, but their eyes have to go from there, to the play clock, back there to the play clock. And there's a lot of multitasking at the quarterback position. And, my wife would tell you, I'm not very good at multitasking. That's probably why it was pretty single in my focus of just signaling the plays from the sideline when I was playing. So, I think that's a big piece, is just having familiarity with the battlefield and knowing what's to come.
What about this stadium and the memories for you? I know Jordan, you talked to Jordan. He wrote an excellent story. He actually talked to Stephon LaFours, the quarterback for Cincinnati, and talked to, I think, 7 or 8 players, including you, that were on the field that day in that game. And, just going to everybody remembers Andy's obviously memorable return, but that game, you guys hung with the number 8 team in the country, and a lot of people were saying in the article that Jordan wrote that game kind of helped it, that team and that game helped set the stage maybe for the Fiesta Bowl a couple of years later. I mean, that was a big game, even though you guys lost to that you guys proved that you can play on that level and hang with them, and obviously it was a back and forth type game. What do you remember about playing in the Liberty Bowl? And unfortunately, they haven't done much to the stadium in 20 years, so it looks very similar. Johnny says you had 1 carry in the Liberty Bowl also.
He's got to slide right into these DMs and just make sure that I continue to eat the large, humble pie that I've been eating this entire offseason, man, in every area. Whether yesterday on Altitude, Columbus is talking about my record as a head coach at Colorado. I'm like, man, come on, brother. That was a fake field goal, Johnny. All right. And I didn't get it. It was an option play. It was my last game. Not Harsin. It was Ridd and Hawk had a design on basically it was a fake field goal from, I believe it was like the 8 or 9 yard line. And it was 4th and goal, which, I would question. That's a pretty long way to go for a fake field goal. Usually do it, 3-4 yards you need. And so I think I ended up getting a couple yards on it, but it was a design option with me and Tyler Jones. So it was a speed option. I was going to read the end man on line of scrimmage. The end man on line of scrimmage feathered just a little bit. And, all that I had sacrificed in 5 years, and I had one opportunity to score a touchdown in a meaningful moment to say that I even considered pitching it to Tyler Jones on the option is absolutely bananas. So I tucked it and went, and it was a failed fake field goal. Luckily my guy, Andy Avalos, he had my back, guy that I came in together, as incoming freshman back in 2000, Dirk Cutter's final recruiting class. And he got his pick 6 and, stumble butted his way all the way to the end zone, piano on his back. I think he was wearing a 120-pound weight vest, rucksacking all the way into the end zone. But 90 some odd yards, it was pretty stinking impressive.
Johnny's sticking with
one carry, 1 yard. I said a couple yards, hey, I always say, don't let the truth get in the way of good story, man. So here you are.
You broke 3 tackles. You got back, to the
I did look good. I finished forward on the run, so you could pull up the tape, Johnny, if you want to.
I wish I have to be honest. I didn't know that, and I would have tried to find the tape before this, and we could have broke it down. I wish
there are some secrets that I do keep as long as I possibly can.
And that's one of them. But the Liberty Bowl itself, what do you make of just Boise State getting a chance to play there? Like you said, that was Boise State and Memphis had never played, but they did play in that game. You mentioned Andy's play, and you guys obviously took it back. So for Boise State fans, there are some memories of this stadium.
Yeah, and there's also not only Boise State memories in that Liberty Bowl, us being an undefeated team. I believe we're 13-0, 12-0 going into that game. And
number 10 versus number 8, I believe.
Yeah, number 10 versus number 8. And I think that was, at the point in time, that was the best team, overall team that Boise State had ever played, period. Just the hottest team, end of the year. Stephon LaFours, Brian Brom as a freshman quarterback, Michael Bush at running back, Kerry Rhodes as safety. Yep. And then Robert McCune, this inside linebacker whose biceps, I swear, were 32 inches. Biggest biceps I still to this day have ever seen with my own eyes. But just a loaded team. It's a great venue. It's a historical venue. Is it perfect and beautiful in every aspect? No. Does it have that strange kind of flopping, tortilla look to it? Kind of like Autzen Stadium does. Yes. I don't particularly love that design, but it does bring me back to some of the stadium designs of my childhood, traveling around with my dad at USC and going to different stadiums when I was a kid. And, I had actually been to a Liberty Bowl. My dad had coached in one. So it was actually really fun for me to go back to a place that had memories for me and my family. There's a ton of history, a ton of tradition at the Liberty Bowl, because that area of Memphis is so central to really the Southeast Conference. And so it's just had so much historical relevance as almost the meeting point centrally to the SEC. And so that stadium has really had a lot of significant historical moments, and not just with Memphis football, but with the Liberty Bowl being one of the longest standing bowl games, in all of college football.
Well, I know, Mike, you got the big softball doubleheader, so we'll get you out of here. But any final thoughts, words, Boise State at Memphis today?
Just a big game, BJ. This is a big game. I think it's a big game for this team. I think it's a big game for Andy. I think this is a big game for all of us as fans, and I think we're all craving for that full kind of 4-quarter performance. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we have in store today. I think it's going to end up being a really positive experience that we're going to take back and say that was a moment where it all did truly come together. So looking forward to seeing what happens on the field today. I'll have to DVR the first half, but I'll be tuning in live for the entire second half. So
you did so
good alerts.
You did so good here. I think we should go ahead and announce maybe that in 2 weeks up at CSU for the Colorado State game, Mike Sanford is going to be partaking in the pregame and postgame show on site with BNN. So we get Coach back helping us out for the Colorado State game. Where do you live? You live pretty close there. What, 30 minutes or how far from Fort
about
Collins?
30, 40 minutes.
Okay.
I love getting up to Fort Collins. That's a great city. And I will say that, to any Broncos that are listening, if you're on the fence about making a trip to Fort Collins, do it. It is an awesome environment. That's a beautiful stadium if you haven't been yet. And Fort Collins truly is, I think, the best beer city in all the United States. So I look forward to meeting a whole bunch of you or reconnecting with a bunch of you. So if you're going to be there, BJ and I, BJ's going to be staying here in the guest house, I believe.
I am. You're letting me stay. We're actually going to go check out Stanford, Colorado on Friday night and then go hang out. And I'm going to put you to work on Saturday for the game. It's going to be bunking at the Sanford house. It's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, so I'll have some announcements. Follow me on my socials, be it Twitter or Facebook, but I'll have some announcements if there's certain things where we can meet up and mingle and hang out. So we're just waiting for that game time.
Yeah, maybe we do we'll find out Monday the game time, and if it's later in the day, maybe we do the pregame show at some local pub or something. And
I got plenty of options there.
All right, well, hey man, appreciate it. Good luck with the softball doubleheader today. I know folks in the comments are playing the Savages music. They said they're getting pumped for you, so appreciate it, and we'll talk to you Monday night on Ball Talk with Johnny, man.
All right. Hey, go Savages, but most importantly, go Broncos. And if you're listening in the comments right here, respond to me. Give me one, baby. Boise!
All right, man. We're going to have our friend Stormy Buonantony join us in just a second. But first, a quick word from some of our sponsors. All Bronco Nation News broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of premix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. We are back live on the Lithia Florida Boise pregame show. Nice enough to join us for a couple of minutes. You've seen it now on everywhere, but may remember Stormy from the Mountain West Network way back in the day. Actually, probably wasn't that long ago, but Stormy Buonantony doing the sideline for ESPN2 today. Boise State at Memphis, kind enough to join us for a couple minutes. I know it's a busy morning for you. We appreciate you squeezing us in. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, appreciate you having me, and always love talking Mountain West. I feel like this is a league that's going to have a special place in my heart forever. Although I told Taylor Green when I was talking to him earlier this week, I am a San Diego State Aztec. So last week was a little bit rough for me personally from the fan side of things. But no, love the league. Love talking about Boise State. I was there working for the conference when they won the 2014 Fiesta Bowl. And so a lot of really good memories with the Broncos program.
What's your take on this matchup? We'll get right into it here. Boise State, Memphis, kind of a unique matchup. First time these teams have ever played. Boise State does have one game in the Liberty Bowl Stadium way back in 2004, but in general, interesting kind of two of the better group of 5 teams here going at it this afternoon.
Yeah, and I, like everybody, made sure to bring up with Andy Avalos this week the shoulder pads and the neck roll, the visor, like just an unbelievable look. He said, all I see when I look at that is how much the game has changed and how old I must be. But no, super cool for him to go back in there for the first time since his last college football game. As for this matchup, similar to what Mike was just saying there a little bit ago. Oh, there it is. There's the picture. You love it. What a look. What a look. The neck roll. So good.
The old school helmet logo too. Love that one.
Yes, exactly. But no, as for this matchup, similar to what Mike was saying, I think it's going to be a good one, and one that kind of feels like a potential New Year's Six elimination game to an extent, right? Because these are two of the programs that see themselves as potential conference champions and running the table in the league and having that type of opportunity, and programs that have done it before, obviously. So I think it's exciting from that standpoint. Maybe a game that in the full slate of games today could go under the radar, and I don't think it should. And it's one that, I also work at VSiN, a sports betting network in Las Vegas, and I look at lines all day. And something I found pretty fascinating was that Boise entered this game as a favorite at Circus Sportsbook, where I know you have a relationship, and saw that line flip 6 points in 24 to 48 hours to where
I thought it was a typo. I thought it was a typo when it first came out, and I saw it was Boise State -3, and then literally you look at it the next day and it's Memphis -3. I thought one or the other was a typo, so that you don't see that very often.
You don't. And so that just reaffirmed in my mind that, like, we're going to have a good competitive game. It could be a field goal game either way. And it's just a matter of, in my opinion, a little bit, who is able to tackle one of these marquee running backs better.
Yeah, I mean, if the odds makers obviously thought enough of Boise State initially to put them as a favorite in the game, so that certainly does mean something. What do you make about this Boise State team? You brought up the New Year's Six, and I already know some fans in the comments are kind of rolling their eyes because I brought that up earlier this week, and people are, you know how it is. I mean, people in Boise State don't like losing one game, let alone two, and 2-2 on the season, and obviously it's been a little bit of a struggle for Andy in his 3 years here. No conference championships yet, and fans, you mentioned the Fiesta Bowl, haven't been back to since 2014 to a New Year's Six bowl game, and I agree with you. I think if Boise State were to run the table, they would be right in that mix. But when I brought that up earlier this week, people were like, well, if you think this team is running the table, then you're more of a homer than I thought, and all this stuff. But it's like, it is possible, but they are 2-2. They do have some struggles. I know you haven't analyzed every second of Boise State's games this year, but just from the national perspective, what are your thoughts on where the program's at under Andy and where the team's at this year?
Yeah, I understand where fans are coming from, and it's interesting as fans that for those of us that like love our team so much and we're so invested, that we always end up being like the biggest pessimists as well. And so I wouldn't count it out just yet. Like, I very much so feel like this game could be one of those kind of catapult type of a situations where you get a little bit of confidence, you've won 3 straight, and then see where things can go. I think defensively, obviously, there are some issues that need to get tightened up. And it's interesting when your head coach is a defensive guy that's been a little bit of an issue. So, like, that's something for sure I know from a national perspective that we're looking at. And for Taylon Green, what is he as a quarterback? I'm not really sure. Last year, I know we saw a lot of the mobility and the dynamic playmaking ability that he has, and we haven't seen as much of that this year. And from a passing perspective, is he going to be able to get the ball downfield and show that with his arm? So some questions, but I also think that he's had a little bit of a tough go from the standpoint of having essentially 3 different offensive coordinator type voices in less than a year and a half as a starter. So there's a lot that he's got to simplify and figure out for himself to take those steps. And I would hope and think that as you're winning games and gaining a little bit more confidence, that those things will come. It helps when you have Ashton Genty. I will say that.
Yes. Yeah. When all else fails, hand it off to number 2. That seems to work out pretty well, or toss him a screen pass. That seems to work pretty well, leading the nation, I believe, in a lot of the offensive categories. Stormy, final. I know you got a lot to get to. Final thing or two here for you. You're busy. You're working for your other job. You're doing the sidelines today. You're everywhere, and it's great to see where your career is at right now. So congratulations on all your success. But what just every week you got to learn. I mean, you're talking like you know a ton about Boise State, but this is like a 4-day crash course for you or whatever. I mean, every week to have to do this with 2 new teams. What is this like for you? Being on a prominent sideline reporter nationally and living out your dream, I assume, but it's a lot of work too. And to you may say something that you haven't, you've been 100% right, but you may say one small thing in an interview like this that may not be 100% correct. And somebody, rips you on a fan base or whatever. But I mean, just to know as much as you have to know about every team every week. What's that like?
I appreciate you understanding that, because it's totally a crash course. And there are some people that work for specifically conference networks, right? And you become an expert with that league, and you know that you're going to an ACC team or an SEC team or Big Ten team, whatever it is. And I don't have that. So I don't have the continuity of conferences, and every week I'm just kind of getting thrown somewhere new. I am a West Coast girl living in Las Vegas, and I've been on the East Coast every single week. So you throw the travel into it as well, which does give me a little extra time prepping on planes. So there's that going for me. But it's a challenge, and it's a fun one though. We're so lucky that so many sports information directors at various programs are so helpful and want to promote their players as much as possible and give us access to have those interviews. I know you even sharing some articles with me earlier this week. Like, that type of thing makes a huge difference and helps us get dialed in as fast as possible. But it really is my dream. I love it. I couldn't imagine doing anything else, and I feel so fortunate that I get to have that challenge every week.
I really wanted to ask you to come on the show, but I thought I'd butter you up first with the articles and say, here's some info if you need it. Oh, by the way, can I get 10 minutes from on game day for you to come on the show? But you're working with I appreciate it. You're working with Beth Mowens and Kirk Morrison today, I believe. Is that kind of the crew you're usually with?
Yep, that's been my crew for the last 2 seasons. I used to be with Dave Fleming and Rod Gilmore, but I love Beth and Kirk. Beth obviously is such a staple for women in the industry and sports, and what she does. Like, she was calling an NFL game last weekend on CBS. She's such a rock star. And Kirk, an Aztec legend at SDSU. I don't know how they let 2 Aztecs on the same broadcast crew, but neither here nor there. They just don't give us SDSU games. That's what it is.
Now, now it's going to be a little more critical watch from the Boise State fans today, I think, knowing there's 2 Aztecs on the call here. So
maybe I shouldn't have let that out.
Yeah, I don't know. But hey, appreciate your time. We'll see you over at the Liberty Bowl this afternoon. Should be an awesome game, Stormy. And again, congrats on your success, continued success in the future. And we'll be watching. Well, I'll be there, but then everybody will be watching, and then we'll watch the broadcast this afternoon. So thanks again for giving us a few minutes of your time.
Thanks, BJ. Good catching up with you. Have a great show.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, we'll see you over there. Thanks a lot again. We appreciate Stormy for coming on. She does a great job with ESPN2, and she was the Vegas night sideline reporter, has done a lot of different things in Las Vegas and does a great job, so we appreciate her for coming on the show. You can see we are broadcasting today from the luxurious DoubleTree here in Memphis. Get your questions, your comments, your score predictions in. Jordan Kay going to join us here in a couple of minutes as we keep this thing rolling. We'll take the score predictions. If you joined us late, not an ideal setup over at the Liberty Bowl for the pregame show. They just didn't really have a spot for us to broadcast, and they weren't sure how reliable the internet was. So we just decided to do it this morning, and then, just do it now and see what happens. I don't love this. I would rather be at the stadium and showing you warm-ups and things. We'll still follow our social media. I'll still be putting out a lot of tweets and videos of the team arriving, and we'll get you warm-ups and highlights and all that stuff that we would have did on the pregame show. We just couldn't do it live. And so we'll see. Maybe we'll get a little better viewership on this one, because it'll have 4, 5, 6 hours to circulate on social media before the game today. So we're rolling here. We're in no rush to get out of here either. So we appreciate Mike, appreciate Stormy for coming on. Jordan Kay, if he wakes up in time, will join us here in 4 minutes. We're looking forward to getting Jordan's thoughts. But if you have score predictions, if you have a player of the game prediction, we have some gift cards to give away. I got a gift card to the James. I got a Taco Bell gift card. I got a round of golf at Timberstone. We got some stuff to give away here. So if you want one and have a good, bold prediction for the game today, what's going to happen, throw that in there, and we will see who is closest to their bold prediction coming true, and we will hook you up with a gift card of your choice to one of the three that I mentioned, Taco Bell or the James or a round of golf at Timberstone Golf Course. So give us your bold predictions on what you think might happen today in the game. Not necessarily just a score prediction, but how the game's going to go, any specific stats or anything, and we'll get to those here shortly. I do want to thank a couple more of our great sponsors. BVA Ball Ventures, Alquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. If you need a developer looking for new space, think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer, and we will be Thursday at 9 a.m. Mike Prater and I at Topgolf. Thursday at 9 a.m. I don't think they're open yet, but don't miss Thursday's show. We will be at Topgolf. We're going to get Mike Prater out there, Tommy Alquist, myself on the little simulator. We'll take some live on the air. We'll analyze Mike Prater's golf swing. So looking forward to that at Topgolf on Thursday at 9 a.m. Taco Bell, we'll be there next Saturday. We're going to do this same thing, this kind of morning weird time pregame show. We're going to do it, try it again next Saturday at Taco Bell on Broadway. So hopefully you'll come join us. I believe it's going to be around 9 in the morning. We'll give you the details this week. Taco Bell on Broadway. Come have breakfast, hang out with us, and we will be live for the pregame show. We were going to do it at the normal time, and then they added that basketball scrimmage, and we wanted to make sure everybody could get to that. So we're going to do it earlier in the day, and then you have the basketball scrimmage at 3:30 and the football game at 6. So make sure you join us at Taco Bell on Broadway. TacoBellWorks.com. You can get more information on applying for a job with Taco Bell, or you can get more information on what they're doing to help support the student athletes at Boise State. They've donated and committed more than $300,000 by 2026 for these student athlete scholarships on the men's and women's basketball team. So we appreciate the Nicolason family, SON management, for what they're doing. And again, next Saturday, we'll be live at Taco Bell. Lithia Ford of Boise, our title sponsor, as we get Jordan Kay on here shortly to break down this game. We want your score predictions, your comments, your bold predictions. Let us have them in the YouTube chat there on the ICCU YouTube chat, and we'll get to those here shortly. Lithia Ford of Boise, the official car and truck of the Broncos and Boise State Athletics. Lithia Ford supporting Bronco student athletes through NIL deals. They're providing Ford vehicles to Taylon Green, Riley Smith, Paige Barsh, and Rain's family. We've obviously got a F-150 and love it. You can check out the electric, all F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E at Lithia Ford. Make sure to check out their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. The Blue and Orange store, I saw Travis Hawks down here last night on Beale Street. Travis Hawks was down on Beale Street, and David Gardner, the whole crew, and it was cool to have them on the trip, and they'll be on the sidelines and hanging out, and so we appreciate Travis and the Blue and Orange store for their support of Bronco Nation News. Free shipping, any order over $40, or you can go online at the blueandorangestore.com. You can also go in person with your friends, family, whoever, there on the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, and check out and get your gear for the next game, the next home game, which is coming up a week from today against San Jose State, which is ended up going to be in a pretty big game for Boise State moving forward here. Every game is going to be big, but obviously got to find a way to win those conference games. So I hear it's raining back in Boise. My family is watching the show. Love you guys. Appreciate you for watching, Naismith and Nelson, and love you, Karen. See you tomorrow. And my youngest son is supposed to have a baseball game today, but it sounds like it's raining. Who knows if they're going to be able to get that in back in Boise. So maybe it's better football weather here in Memphis, where it is sunny and it is hot. I walked up to the convenience store a little earlier to get my energy drink for the morning and a protein bar, and I mistakenly wore long sleeves because it is already very warm here. If you joined us late on the show, I mentioned LSU. Yes, that LSU is actually staying right here. I can see their team buses right outside my window. They are staying at the Peabody, the world famous Peabody Hotel. They are playing in Oxford against Ole Miss, and apparently there's not enough space for at a hotel for all the banquet space and team meeting rooms and all that they need. So teams will sometimes stay in Memphis when they play at Ole Miss, and they're going to bus 60 minutes down this afternoon or whenever they play, and you'll have the LSU Ole Miss game. How about that? And LSU staying right here in town. So looking forward to that. We got a lot of folks in the chat chiming in. Nate says Genty again goes over 150 all-purpose yards. Cobbs emerges as well. Broncos 34-27 is his prediction. But we will see what happens. We do have our man Jordan Kay We didn't even have to wake him up. He got up on his own. 9:45 on a. We had a fun night last night, man.
It was awesome. Beale Street was really cool. I thought it was, some people are saying, oh, it's a crime, who knows? And I was like, this is a really cool spot. You can walk to a million different places, and there's live bands playing all over the place. It was really cool.
It was a lot of. We went in multiple places with live music when you walk in, and we ran into a lot of BSU supporters. I just mentioned Travis Hawks. We saw him out there last night, and a lot of good folks out there on Beale Street, and a lot of BSU fans, and we even saw some Memphis or some LSU Tiger fans, and we even saw one guy. I don't know who he was a fan of. I don't know if you posted the video or not, but it was very odd, to say the least. And he eventually, I think, probably spent the night in the slammer, but climbed up like the entire side of the building. And I mean, he was literally like one of those like crazy things you see. And this guy is just climbing up the building and then hanging out at the top and then coming up and down. And there was probably 15 or 20 police officers just waiting at the bottom for him to come down. And then the fans, everybody walking on the street saw it and started cheering for the guy. And then he was having a little fun with it. But you never know what you're going to see on Beale Street, I guess.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, it was very odd, and I was just hoping the guy wasn't going to fall, but he was like climbing up on the side. I mean, I was climbing up the scaffolding on the side of the building, and eventually there was some cheers. We did see him get walked out in handcuffs by police, so he's seen better days, I guess. But this game this afternoon, we're doing the pregame show. Obviously, if you joined us late, I've said it a couple times, but due to the setup over there at the Liberty Bowl, they couldn't guarantee us a good spot to do the pregame show, and couldn't guarantee us strong enough internet to do the pregame show. So we are doing it now, and then it'll circulate on social media for the next few hours before the game. But we've talked about it all week, Jordan. It's finally game day. You got a little flack because you and me and Jay made a little video outside of Rendezvous Barbecue last night, which was tremendous, and it was good catching up with Jay. Me and Jay gave some quick thoughts, and then you predicted a Memphis victory, and there were some folks on Twitter telling me to leave you in Memphis and things like that. But so you have it on record. You had it in your 5 thoughts as well. You do expect a close game, but you do you think Memphis is going to pull this one out.
Yeah, I mean, once you put it in writing, I can't go back on it. I can't, be wishy-washy. So I said it, and I'll stick with it.
Why is that? Why is that?
I think there's we don't know. We haven't seen proof that the passing attack is good. I mean, we just haven't. And going into a game this week where Memphis has a really good D line, I don't think anyone's going to stop Ashton Genty this season. But you could maybe slow him down, and if there's not a counter punch there, then it could be a long day. The other thing is this Memphis offense, one of the more efficient in the country. Their quarterback completes almost 70% of his passes, which all that means is there's going to be athletes in space all over the field. It's short passes. And if you have a team that is struggling with tackling,
it's
going to be a long day. I really do think that Boise State spent this entire week really focusing on tackling and trying to understand where do we mess up our leverage, where do we mess up our technique, our eyes, and then rep drills to make sure they did it. But you do not want a struggling tackling team going into play Memphis. So those are basically the 2 reasons that I'm think the Tigers could pull it out.
I offered up a gift card to the James or Taco Bell or Timberstone Golf Course for anybody that had a bold prediction that came true. And Matt has the bold prediction that Jordan won't get an eye roll in the post-game interview today. So we'll have to see on that.
We'll see.
Tommy says that he thinks Memphis will try to jam Genty at the line, make Taylon Green pass.
Oh, yeah.
At some point, when you see what Taylon Green is doing, teams are going to load the box here, and Boise State's going to have to start moving the ball through the air.
They're good. I'm surprised through 5 weeks or through 4 weeks that they haven't really had to do it so far. I guess they probably had to do it against Washington and UCF, and those were the contributing factors to why they lost. But it's kind of crazy. I mean, we last year thought this is going to be a passing game that is right on par with the running game. We obviously knew this was more of a team that its best players were running back. So you're going to hand the ball off. But in year 2 under Taylor Green, we were expecting probably some more of the kind of the RPOs that Dirk Cutter brought to town, where all Taylor's got to do is read one guy, and he's either handing the ball off or throwing it. And, sometimes out of that, he could run it too. And, I mean, we haven't seen any of that. And when your wide receivers, I don't know if they're struggling with confidence, but it doesn't look great all the time, and struggling to get separation. You start as an offensive coordinator to, start running out of ideas.
Yeah, and you mentioned the defense. I mean, the third downs have to be better today. Gave up way too many third downs against San Diego State, and as I was mentioned with Mike Sanford earlier in the show. I mean, you had the one drive where they had like 3 3rd and 9+ and converted them all in the same drive. And the tackling that you mentioned, and you talk about a quarterback completing 70% of his passes. A former safety started 12 for 12 at quarterback against Boise State.
I know.
So, those shorter passes could be an issue today.
Oh yeah, and someone brought it up. Taylor Green breaks out this game and has 250 yards passing. Did I get it on the screen? Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. That really is the hope, that Taylor Green eventually, it was just a little bit of rust the first 4 weeks. And hey, I still believe in Taylor Green. I mean, I think he is a hell of a quarterback. Why it hasn't worked out so well this year, I really don't know. But I mean, you got to think at some point he's going to break out. Is it this week against Memphis? Is it later in the season against a team like New Mexico? You hope not, but yeah, there's I would expect at some point over the next couple of weeks he's got that game where you're like, all right, this is why we thought he was could be the best group of 5 quarterback, and maybe it is him 250 yards passing, and maybe it is him with maybe 100 yards rushing or something like that.
Well, they could really use today being that day. I mean, Boise State could really use a big game out of Taylor Green today. They really could. So we'll see. That's a good. I mean, yeah, that's I think for me, Boise State's defense. I mean, that's where I think this game's going to be won today. If Boise State's going to be able to do enough defensively to because what we've seen from this defense over the is just not. It's not what we're used to seeing. And I know they're saying some areas are getting better and things, but it doesn't matter how good the offense is if the defense is struggling the way it has through 5 games.
Yeah, it's really surprising, because I remember 5 weeks ago, you were talking and saying, hey, look at Andy Avalos' track record. The only year he really ever had a bad defense was like
the COVID year, I think.
COVID year. Yeah. And so it's uncharacteristic. This is not Andy Avalos' MO. He is a guy who usually, when his hands are on a defense, that defense plays well. And to try and sort out the issues, especially when he came into the season telling us how good his defense was going to be, especially when the defense is led by 2 sixth-year guys in DJ Schramm and Dimitri Washington.
Yeah.
Injuries don't help that. DJ obviously looked
really. What are you thinking about DJ and Dimitri? Are they both going to be good to go today?
I thought Dimitri was fine.
Yeah.
DJ Schramm, if he plays today after what we saw in San Diego, he's the toughest guy on the planet. That would be incredible.
If he's out, what do you make of the line? I mean, sorry to cut you off there, but Notriani and Andrew Simpson. That's going to be.
That's a decent enough. That's a good linebacking core who have played both this season. You're not throwing a redshirt freshman or something in there, so
sure.
I wouldn't be too worried about that.
I know you had it in your 5 thoughts, but Seth says we need to give some love to the punting game here. Again, you hope you don't see James Ferguson Reynolds much today. If you're a Boise State fan, you don't want to see him, but he has been a really nice luxury, because this is what we thought we were led to believe. This is what we were going to see last year. I mean, all off season, all fall camp. This guy he can pinpoint it right where he wants, and he can hit it a mile, and then lo and behold, it does take a little time when you're switching from Australian rules football to American style football. And he just had a lot going on off the field with his mom as well. And just being away from home. But he is a legit weapon for Boise State to change the field position.
I remember last year when I got here and you talked to coaches about it. Like, I was like, is this guy Harry Potter? Like, they're like, you've never seen it. You've never seen it. It's incredible. All the angles. I was like, what does that mean? But you are seeing. I don't even know if we've seen it this year. But the guy can boot the ball. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I didn't realize that he doesn't just lead the country in punting yards. He leads it by like 3 yards. Like no one's close. It's unbelievable. And that doesn't even take into account the one at Washington that made the kind of the not top 10 when Ty Benefield, who turned out to be incredible, kind of had his freshman moment and didn't down it. I mean, that's probably an extra 20 yards on one of those punts. So yeah, he's been fantastic. Again, not an awesome sign when it's 5 weeks in and we've got to be like, well, hell, look at the punter though, man. It's like, it's not always awesome.
No, but that combination of him and Jonah Dalmas, I mean, I haven't studied every roster in the country, but I can't imagine there's more than 4 or 5 teams out there that right now have a better combo at punter and kicker.
Especially like last year. I mean, it just kind of exacerbated the struggles. You remember that UTEP game when they're down, they really need a stop, and he kind of punts the ball a little low, coverage can't get out there, and UTEP returns it for a touchdown, and Boise State fans just throw your hands up like, this stinks. And now it's every time the punter comes out, I mean, you get excited. It's like Boise State and Iowa fans are kind of mutually feeling each other right now. Of course, he's got a mullet and earrings too. I mean, he is stylish. He's also like 22, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, he's a little bit older. Yeah,
he's a sophomore. Yeah. He's awesome.
He's a good guy to talk to as well.
So cool.
And
really awesome. I mean,
give the quick lowdown on his parents. I know that this will be their last game but they've seen every game so far.
Yeah, I guess they flew into the States before the Seattle game. I mean, I saw him in Seattle, and they're just like, instead of like getting an Airbnb, they're just like, we're gonna see every city in America, and so I think they took a train from Seattle to Chicago. They went to LA, New York, New Orleans. I don't know. I mean, who knows where?
We're here in Memphis
2 weeks ago.
That's
amazing. And I was like talking to him. I was like, this isn't Europe. Like in Europe, you can just fly from country to country pretty easily. And he's like, I know, man. Like, I don't know how they're doing it. He was like, he didn't know where they were. So it was pretty cool.
Well, again, good for him, good for them. But I know if you're a Boise State fan, you really don't want to see much of him today, if at all possible, because you'd like to see Boise State move the ball a little better, get in position to score some more touchdowns. The receivers, I mean, Eric McAllister, we've talked about him. We wrote about him. I mean, is this finally the game Prince Strong gets a catch? Is this the game Billy Bowens gets in the end zone? I mean, Eric McAllister can't do it all here.
Yeah, it's a tough one because it's hard to know exactly like who's the culprit here. Is it really the receivers? Is it Bush Hamden's play calling? Is it Taylor Green just missing his receiver? And probably it's a lot of all three. I don't know if me or you or both of us are too hard on the receivers. I definitely think that they're not getting, the elite separation. I'll put it that way. They're not making these. They're not giving Taylor a ton of space to operate in.
Sure.
Aside from McAllister too, they're also not pulling down 50-50 balls. That's the big thing that they preach. We can pull down the 50-50 balls, and when you don't do that, all of a sudden your numbers don't look very good, and your quarterback loses a little bit of trust and confidence because he's got to second guess himself, even if it's for a split second, every time he's throwing the ball into coverage. So that's not good either. I don't know how to fix it other than just throughout the course of the season, you're getting a little better, or you're being a little more precise on the routes and things like that.
Don't expect Austin Bolt today. I would expect him next week. I know he was practicing this week, Sky, but I would be a little surprised if he played today. He's getting closer though.
And maybe that's the remedy a little bit, is Austin Bolt coming back. And I heard he had one hell of a week at practice this week. If maybe he's the guy to kind of push the competition a little bit. If Prince didn't do it, maybe it's Austin Bolt. And we both think that he's probably going to be able to play in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he get on the field right away? Why couldn't he start early? I mean, this is a guy who's been behind the scenes in the program for a long time, surely knows the playbook, and is just lighting it up at practice. Yes, Johnny was there. He saw it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate Johnny with the insight there.
Yeah, I maybe that's what they need, or maybe just another option, more depth at the wide receiver core. Maybe that's what does it. But yeah.
Hey, United Commercial Insurance, 229-8222, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. The best in business insurance. They can write business policy insurance in 44 states around the country. So pretty much anywhere you're watching this, if you own a business, if you help handle some of the human resources or the business side of things, and you deal with business insurance, let United Commercial Insurance take care of you. UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. Boise Dentistry Co. Check them out as well. Rain's family, happy to have Dr. Meinert as our dentist, and you will be happy if you make the switch as well. 5 locations across the Treasure Valley. BoiseDentistryCo.com. You can find a location near you. Full family dentistry. They make an enjoyable experience to go to the dentist. Check them out. 906-1255 online at BoiseDentistryCo.com. Our friends at Lean Feast. Dave and his staff, we saw him walking out the other day, Jordan, with a microwave, and he had just helped heat up meals for 110 players after practice the other day. So they are feeding the football team. They are feeding the basketball team. Dave is just a good dude, and we're loving the food at Lean Feast and the Rains family, and we're getting Mike Prater started up with Lean Feast as well here next week. So check them out, leanfeast.com/Meridian. You can order online, have it delivered, or you can go into their location there on Eagle Road in Meridian and check it out and order whatever you'd like and get it all prepared right there fresh at Lean Feast. Timberstone, I'm going Friday. I think I might sneak out one more round, Jordan, before the year is over. Play Timberstone.com. Book your tee time. They got the new carts. They got the new water stations. A lot of new things going on. They were, again, voted as one of the top club fitters in the state of Idaho and one of the top courses in the state of Idaho as well. So check them out. Play Timberstone.com. Timberstone Golf Course. It's the perfect time to book your spot. And if you're heading to Vegas or if you're heading to Colorado, or now in Illinois, you can use the Circa Sports app. Circa Sports. I can tell you next time I'm in St. Louis, Jordan, I just drive right across the river, can get the Circa Sports app out on my phone, and I'm good to go there. In Illinois is the newest state. Kentucky is coming soon as well. And we are going with we are still alive. Only 23% of the pool is left in the Circa Survivor, $9.2 million prize. And the BNN team is going for the third time in 4 weeks against Jordan Kay's Arizona Cardinals. The pick tomorrow is the San Francisco 49ers is the pick tomorrow. So 14-point favorites. I think it's time to go ahead, go against the Cardinals again, even though they obviously beat the Cowboys. They're playing a little better. But any professional, NFL, college, any of your sports wagering needs, make sure you check out our friends at Circa Sports. And I know they're actually in Chicago doing some watch parties and things, opening up their first on-location store there in Chicago. So that is pretty cool at Circa Sports at Circa Resort and Casino. As we kind of get ready to wrap this up, we have hit the 1 hour mark here. Let's see. Is there a way to get Dickie on once a week like Mac Rhodes does on 365 Sports? We'll certainly see about getting him on again. We were able to catch up with him last night, actually. It was good to see Jeremiah and everybody, but probably not weekly. That's just not something they would typically do. I think 365 Sports might have some sort of deal with them. I'm not sure. But we'll see if we can get him on a little more regularly. I'm taking Boise State, Jordan. I know you got, and I had them beating UCF. So, I mean, it's not to say my predictions are anywhere close to ever being true. But I kind of feel the same way as I did in the UCF game, which almost proved to be true. But my reasoning was I just think they're going to find a way to win. I don't know why. The stats may not say they should, but I just thought that against UCF, they were just like, which is what happened. The late touchdown, and they hung on. I just thought they're going to find a way to win. It didn't work out on that field goal, but in a similar game on the road, they're slight underdogs. But I also don't think Memphis is some world beater here that is not, some great team.
Memphis almost lost the name. I know sometimes I got to slow myself down. Like this is, we're not talking about 2019 LSU here. Like this is.
So I don't know about a score prediction, maybe something in the 31-24 or something like that. But I think it'll be a pretty close game, one possession game probably. But I think Boise State, I just don't see them being 2-3. And maybe I should, because maybe this is a 2-3 type of team and not a great team this year. But I think they're I think this just, the track record shows they're going to go on a little bit of a run here, and I think they're going to win this game. And I'm going to say 31-24, but I got Boise State winning this game, getting to 3-2.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be close. A one possession game where Boise State might even have a drive at the end to win it. we just I just don't know if I would trust them to make that drive right now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I think the offense needs to show more. I think Taylor Green needs to play better than he has. Is going to need to throw the ball more than he probably has. And they're going to need some help for Ashton Genty. He can't do it all. Whether it's Breezy Dubar today, whether it's the Taylor Green running himself, whether it's the passing game. I don't think it is sustainable for Ashton Genty just to get 250 yards and for them to win a close game every week. I mean, I think that they're going to need some other guys to step up and going to need the defense to play better as well, as we talked about. Got to tackle better, got to get off the field on third down. I think third down is going to be a huge factor in this game. Both teams. Boise State's got to convert and move the chains, and they got to do a better job of getting off the field on third down and getting the ball back to the offense. So should be fun. Looking forward to it. We'll be over there here in a couple hours, and we'll be bringing all the action. We won't have the pregame show live, but as I said, we'll post some videos of the team arriving and warm-ups and all that to social media, and then we'll have the postgame show, obviously, after the game, assuming the Wi-Fi and internet everything is working. So Oscar says, I think this game will determine Avalos' future. Must-win game. Not sure I'd quite go that far. I mean, if it's a must-win, if you don't win, is he fired tomorrow? I mean, no. But in terms of, what's the stat? 2-7 non-conference against FBS teams. And I went through the three, we were at the airport in Salt Lake yesterday. I went through his schedule, what I would have considered a quote unquote big game, conference or out of conference. I've got Andy Avalos at 5-10 in quote unquote big games. So he has not traditionally won a lot of these kind of games, Jordan. And this would be a big one.
This would be huge. I don't think he's on the hot seat by any stretch. I think almost anything could happen this season and he would be back next year. But right now it's kind of determining how hot is that seat going to be going into next year.
Yeah.
And a win versus Memphis makes that a lot cooler. And maybe it's the start of a run. I mean, we still got to think about it. And sometimes I get tripped up thinking so big picture, but I mean, this is a team that's 1-0 in Mountain West play. If they win this week, who's to say they can't go on a run like they did last year? I mean, it's not a crazy schedule.
Yeah.
You go San Jose State, Colorado State. Those are two very winnable games. And then after that, it gets tougher, but hopefully you've got your confidence, you've got your rhythm, you've got an offensive identity. And at that point, maybe this is a much different team. They got a bye week right after that too. So
yeah, they can get these next three. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks. If they can get to 5-2 at the bye, take a breather, kind of circle the wagons, and say, okay, let's finish strong with these final 5 games. At Fresno is going to be tough. I do think at Colorado State is going to be tough, but I'm looking forward to seeing them play a little more here the last next couple of weeks. With
Wyoming game too is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, we should mention the Mountain West slate real quick. You have Utah State at UConn, kind of an interesting game there. And then Hawaii at UNLV. New Mexico is at Wyoming. Utah Tech is at Colorado State tonight. So we may not learn much about Colorado State tonight. But San Diego State is at Air Force. And then Nevada is at Fresno State. So really nothing super exciting. A lot of double-digit point spreads. All 4 Mountain West games that are conference games are double-digit point spreads, and then a couple non-conference games. But Boise State Memphis is the premier game today in the Mountain West Conference. Johnny's asking about the talent last night. I assume he's talking about the musical talent in the.
There was one girl. It was like, I mean, I kept venturing over. It was like Aretha. I mean, this girl I didn't even think she was part of the band. It looked like she just got up there. She was just like wearing a T-shirt. It was fantastic. Yeah, they were
live
really
music.
cool.
Live music at pretty much every place you walk into. There's a stage and music, and it was it was a lot of fun. So I assume that's the talent that Johnny was talking about. The talent on the stage. It was phenomenal last night. We'll wrap it up. We appreciate everybody for joining us. Again, follow Jordan, follow myself, follow BNN on social media. Please go subscribe if you can. You see the promo code there at the bottom of the screen. It is BNN 50 deal is the promo code. BNN 50 deal will give you a full 1-year subscription to BNN for just $50. We'd love to have you jump on board before the game and read Jordan's pregame coverage, Mike Prater's column, all that good stuff. Prater will be writing another column tomorrow, so we got a lot of fresh content coming. So this will do it for the pregame show. We'll be back on the postgame show. We'll be probably in the. I was told some of the best Ethernet is actually in the coaches booth. So I will either in we'll either kick Bob out of the radio booth when he's done or go in the coach's booth after they leave. We'll find a spot somewhere to do the post-game show, and we will be live after the game. Hopefully a Boise State win for all you guys in the chat. I know you guys are pumped up, a little nervous. We'll see what happens today. Boise State and Memphis, 2 o'clock Mountain Time. It's on ESPN2. And we'll have you covered throughout the rest of the day here and during the game and after the game, before the game, all that good stuff at BroncoNationNews.com. So thanks, Jordan, for jumping on. Thanks, everybody, for watching and the different start time today. Appreciate everybody for we still had real good viewership, and I'm sure we'll continue to get good viewership replaying this on social media for the next 4 or 5 hours before kickoff. But kind of a weird time, but we got it done, and we appreciate everybody for jumping on. So enjoy the game, and we will talk to everybody from the Liberty Bowl here in a couple of hours. Boise State at Memphis. Full coverage coming. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.